One Piece manga chapter 885. Now I know this chapter will piss a lot of people off, especially with the whole fight between Luffy and Katakuri, and the fact that we got hit with a break for next week with a sort of decent chapter. But regardless, we had some progression in this chapter that leads towards the finale of this arc. And sorry for no chapter review for last week, but back to Katakuri versus Luffy in this chapter. Now Katakuri continues to dominate Luffy with his awakened mochi powers and blocks one of Luffy's attacks in Gear Fort, and we know Luffy's time limit is running out, which eventually runs out during this fight. Now given what we saw from the fight between Luffy and Doflamingo, Gear Fort has a time limit of about 20 to 25 minutes. But one thing that was different is that Luffy can suddenly move after Gear Fort, even though he's usually exhausted to the point that he can barely move, as we saw, with Luffy versus Doflamingo and Luffy versus Kraken in the anime. In the manga, we didn't see part of it because, I don't know if that's filler, but he should not be able to move in after Gear Fort. But, he's jumping around, he's running. So there's definitely some improvement there. Now, this could be one of two things. Luffy is adapting more to the physical stress that Gear Fort imposes on his body, or he has the ability to get out of Gear Fort before the time limit runs out. Now I think it's the latter, because Luffy hasn't stayed in Gear Fort for that long, given what we know about his time limit, again, which is about 20 to 25 minutes, unless there were some off-screen panels that we didn't see in the Luffy versus Katakuri fight. Either one is progression, because we know Luffy is not going to be as useless as he was shown to be after Gear Fort. But this whole thing might just be debunked by the fact that Luffy absorbed a lot of Katakuri's mochis beforehand, and that sort of energized him and made him stable for the after effects of Gear Fort. But who knows? Now I'm on the side that Gear Fort will not be able to defeat Katakuri. He needs another form. Maybe Tankman does the job, but we also have to realize that it's something that can somewhat bypass Katakuri's future sight. Now Luffy actually admits Katakuri is stronger, that he has to rely on weaknesses to defeat him. Now my thing here is I don't think Katakuri has any other weaknesses, unless something comes up like the tea party that happens again, which will suck if that happens, because that's just like, at this point, just like plot armor. So I think Luffy versus Katakuri is something that doesn't get resolved, and I'm not even mad at that, because this guy was just simply stronger. But it's definitely not a bad thing, because Luffy has learned from this fight about awakening, on how to use his powers more efficiently, given the fact that Katakuri's powers are a lot similar to Luffy, and this is going to be necessary to take down one of Kaido's calamities in a 1v1. This definitely improves Luffy and the aspects of how he's going to use his devil fruit in the future against one of these calamities. Again, this was a training session. We all said this at the start of the arc, and I think that's where it's going. I don't think he's going to defeat Katakuri at this point. However, Luffy did say that he was waiting for his haki to come back before he fights Katakuri, and if this is the case, he has to go in a new form at the start. He's not going to go Gear 4. He has to do it in new form. Maybe he figures something out with his ability. He says he has to find a new weakness that Katakuri has. Again, he hasn't found it yet, so he has to experiment for a while, and I don't think that's going to happen, because it's just going to keep going on and on. Gear 4 doesn't have the power. Maybe a new form. I just don't think it gets resolved this arc. Luffy's not going to defeat Katakuri. That's just my personal opinion on the matter. Now there's this whole idea running around the community that basically at the start of the fight, that Luffy is trapped and can't escape from the mirror world, and people thought this was an absolute facts. But it turns out Luffy does escape in the most painfully obvious way we could think of. The same way he got into the mirror world in the first place. He captures Brule and escapes, and he finally ends up in the Nuts Island where Big Mom is having a fit, which also turns out to be Amande's island. So Luffy has made things even worse for himself, but I feel like Katakuri was more of a danger than Big Mom, because Big Mom doesn't have her mind right now, so she's just kind of indiscriminately attacks anyone. But I don't think anything major would happen to Luffy till he gets his haki back. Plus he has Brule, so it kind of hints that he's going back to the mirror world to kind of fight Katakuri, because Katakuri is stuck in the mirror world, but we'll see. Now we finally see Smoothie again, and she's on the path to find the Sunny and everyone on it, alongside Daifuka and a bunch of other individuals that we see during the tea party. Now this may set up a fight between Jinbei versus Smoothie, water ability versus a juicing ability. Maybe we might see that, and this is where we might actually get to see Smoothie do something. Yeah, we might actually get to see her do something. As lackluster she has been like this entire arc, hopefully she does something here and we might get to see her abilities. And the cake is finally ready. Again, progression. we need to get rid of this cake once and for all, have Big Mom in her right state of mind. Again, even if they make the cake, that doesn't solve everything. The pride over Yonko, as Jinbei stated in this arc, that they're not just gonna let these guys escape even if they make the cake. Plus, you know, they destroyed the stronghold of a Big Mom, the castle. Like, Big Mom is not gonna let the Straw Hats escape, because, like, you know, the cake is just not enough. They have done too much damage for it to be irreversible at this point. So I don't think the cake is gonna solve anything. It might solve something, but not everything. And this is gonna cause some problems towards the end of this arc. Maybe Big Mom chasing the Straw Hats to Wano, and the transition from there, you know, maybe we get Big Mom versus Kaido. Something like that is gonna happen, and it's gonna involve multiple individuals that we might see later on in the story. Yeah, overall, this was a decent chapter. Nothing too great, nothing too bad, just average. 7 out of 10 for me. This is like a C chapter. And yeah, we are on break next week, so it's gonna be 2 weeks. We're gonna be out for 2 weeks till the next chapter drops. But I heard some news from Yonko Production that something hype is gonna happen really soon after the break, so definitely get hype for that. But yeah, guys, it is Ferro, and I will see you folks later. Peace.